the death of nonchalantness. And if you didn't see, this past weekend was the finals between OKC and the Spurs. And long story short, if you don't watch basketball, or if you do, because a lot of people have been talking about this, the Spurs won. And when they won, Wembayama, the star of the team, he celebrated what I would call properly, where he was crying and he was hugging people and he was screaming and you could tell that there was just an overwhelm of emotions that this was the only way he could express them. So the opposite of being nonchalant about it, you're really just being as genuine as possible. And on the other team, a team that a lot of people do not like, myself included, is a player that is kind of the nonchalant stereotype where, he never really reacts. The way he talks, the things he posts on Instagram, the way he dresses, and then all of it is trying to display someone that is too cool to care and someone that just, nothing really phases him or whatnot. But it's funny because while simultaneously really trying to be that way. And you, in my opinion, you can tell it is not genuine because, excuse me here, someone that young without any like crazy life experience and traumatic things and whatnot that a basketball player is not going to have because they're playing basketball since, for the most part, since, they're very young. And so they're in this sort of bubble. You are not going to be like that James Bond character because you can't be. You're too young. You're not wise enough. Unless in very, very rare exceptions, this is not who you are. You are playing a character. You're trying to be cool, but you're not like that. Now, before we even get to why am I talking about this and why this matters, I do understand, first of all, why people, especially the younger you are, the more you're going to try to be like this because, well, obviously everyone has a phone in their pockets that at any moment, if you do something a bit out there or that they feel it's about to be out there, you're going to be recorded. And if things go wrong and you embarrass yourself a bit, and if you stutter a bit too much, and if you just are not cool and embarrass yourself a bit, as sometimes happens, because that's life, well, then that's going to be a memory forever. And if you're unlucky, it will be something that will be watched by millions of people all over the world. So what in the past would just be a little ridicule within your school, and perhaps for a week or two you'd be mocked, nowadays you perhaps are going to be on the international stage being ridiculed. And so in that manner, obviously it's understandable why you'd be more guarded about being honest and being genuine and actually, dancing when you want to dance or screaming when you want to scream or laughing a bit too loud when you want to do so, because it feels like there's a lot of risk. And that kind of is, of course. It's not like how it used to be. And so I understand that. But I think we have to look more at people as the first example that are not afraid to just be as they are and express as they express. And even to be fair, on the OKC team, there's a player, Jared McCain, which is very much like that too, where he does some goofy dances and some crazy TikToks, and he sings songs that would not fit the stereotype of an NBA player in an NBA team, but yet here we are, and he's jolly, and it works because this idea of a very stoic individual. And I think here's just a misunderstanding of what actually stoicism is, because we look at it and we think that by being this genuine with how we feel about life and things and whatnot, we think that we're losing control, and that's not good in that sense, where we can't be too sad or too happy, or we can't go to any of the extremes, and so we have to tone it down and remain in a range where we can control. But I don't think that's wise at all, because that is no control whatsoever. It is a fake sense of control, because when we look at life, we can barely understand it, much less control it. All that we see, experienced, it is but a fraction of what actually is. Our understanding is a little part of the total of what is actually happening. Sure, there are some things that we should try and we can exert our will over, whether that's our career or our fitness or whatever, but these are minuscule parts of life itself. When we look at the totality of it, it's the more we learn about it, the more we also learn that we don't know about it. We become more aware of our ignorance. And so when we look about, as I see it, about this stoic approach to live life and to tone it down and to not be too out there and to just trying to be cool when you post things on Instagram or whatnot, as I see it, you're depriving yourself of the beauty of life. And that's the whole point of what I'm trying to talk about here. Do you really want to be in this moment where you won the championship and you're really happy and you can be like, hold on, calm down. I don't want to I don't want no snot coming out of my nose as I cry at celebrating this. No, I'm gonna tone it down and be cool. No, man, if there's a time to scream, there's the time to scream and to hug people and to be joyful and to be way out there. There are moments for this. And to say that, these emotions are to be controlled and to not played into, and that we just have to be nonchalant, as I see it, is to reject yourself the beauty and the pleasure of living life to the fullest that we can. Because again, if you are to become that person that is more nonchalant and more calm and more wise and whatnot, that will come later, and that comes with experience and with time, and only by fluctuating between these ranges of emotions can one get there. It's the only way. How do you think you're born like this? You think you can watch some YouTube video about how to control your emotions, you're gonna get there? Of course not. You have to have been there, done that many times, and only after can you kind of feel more comfortable with yourself, and in the sense that you don't feel that need to go as high or as low. But life has to be lived, and wisdom is perhaps one of the few things that we cannot acquire by external giving of someone, or by reading a book, or by some instruction. It has to be felt, it has to be lived. And so I know it's a lot of things, and I don't even know how I'm going to conclude this, but I guess above all is I think we should look at these examples of people that are not afraid to just be how they are and express how they're feeling. And obviously there's nuance to it, but to lean a bit more into that in a world that just makes it seem that there's so many consequences to a slight misstep, a slight embarrassment, a slight you didn't spoke as well as you should have, you didn't whatever. Man, let's be a bit more genuine. Let's be a bit more willing to embarrass ourselves and to just do it. Because at the end of the day, all these things, the likes, the comments, the retweets, or whatever, it's all in the nothingness. You turn off your phone, they don't exist anymore. You close your computer, does it exist in the real world? It really doesn't. So let's keep that in mind.